And so even before the game was launched, there's been quite a number of people that have been complaining because the storage requirements for this game is actually insane. If you're playing this on PC, the minimum storage that you need is actually around 120 up to 130 gigabytes, which is insane. Just to give you a perspective, games like Elden Ring and Helldivers 2 only take up around 60 to 70 gigabytes, and that is with the new updates and all that good stuff. But for Elden Ring, that 60 to 70 gigabyte estimate is only the base version of the game without the DLC. But regardless, 120 gigabytes is still too much to ask for, especially for this type of game where you honestly can't even tell where that game size is coming from. Comparing it again to something like Elden Ring or GTA 5, the game world in ZZZ is actually not even close to what the other games have. And so it's just really weird seeing this big of a game size for this type of game. I actually saw a tweet from HexJuice where she's obviously joking, but when you think about it, it's kind of true in some sense.
It's not because they have a hard time optimizing how much space their games take up and they're lazy. It's because they want you to have to actually uninstall Wuthering Waves in order to play the game.
So what she said is actually kind of true when you think about it, because there's no way a game like this is going to take up 120 gigabytes. And even for mobile, 20 gigabytes for a single game is still crazy. As she pointed out, it's possible that, these gacha companies are trying to compete for your attention, and so maybe they're trying to do everything they can for you to drop the other games. And a good way for them to do that is to capitalize on the hype of a new game and make it so that you're forced to leave the other games that you're playing. That's kind of cringe in my opinion because you're supposed to be able to play whichever game that you want, however you want. You don't have to be married to a single game per se, but at the end of the day, these companies are a business, and so you can't really fault them for that, even though it might rub you the wrong way. But moving on, let's actually talk about how you can address this issue. And so for this one, I actually have two recommendations depending on what your setup is and how good your PC build is. If you have a lower end PC or even mid-range and you don't have a lot of space to work with, then what I recommend is actually trying out BlueStacks for playing this game. And so if you're not aware, BlueStacks is actually a mobile emulator, which means that you're basically going to play the game as if you're playing it on mobile. And the good thing about this is that instead of downloading the 120 gigabyte file from the actual HoYoverse launcher, you can instead download BlueStacks so that you can play the mobile version of ZZZ. You're only going to have to download the 20 gigabyte version of this game. Obviously, it's going to ramp up as the game gets more updates, but even then, the game is still going to occupy less space compared to the actual PC version of ZZZ. Although, I only recommend this if you really don't have a way to increase your storage on your PC. Let's say that you're using a laptop or something, like a gaming laptop, and you don't have a way to increase your storage capacity, then using an emulator is going to be a great option. I'm gonna have a link in the description below so that you can download BlueStacks for yourself. And after you download BlueStacks using that link, it should give you an option to actually download ZZZ right off the bat after you download BlueStacks. So it's going to be seamless if you want to try this game out on an emulator. And so definitely check out my link in the description below if you're having trouble with your storage when you're playing ZZZ on your PC. Aside from that, if you have a little bit more space to work with and you can at least afford to free up 120 gigabytes or just to be safe around 130 gigabytes, then I would actually recommend clearing up your storage, maybe uninstalling one game or two so that you can download the base game of ZZZ. Because even though the game is around 120 gigabytes during the installation, it's actually going to shrink down around 50 to 60 gigabytes, so it's going to be not that bad. The only thing that you have to think about is the future updates, because obviously it's still the first week of the game, and so once we get more updates and we get more regions, a bunch of other content and all that good stuff, then the game is inevitably going to be bigger. So just be prepared for that if you're looking to play this game for the long term. And moving on, let's actually talk about the reroll process in this game and what I think about rerolling in ZZZ. And so in short, I actually don't recommend rerolling because there's a lot of cutscenes that you can't skip, and so it's going to be a terrible experience when you're trying to reroll in this game. It actually takes about an hour just to get to the pulling part of the game, and obviously even more if you want to get more pulls and all that good stuff, and so it's going to be very time consuming. And from my perspective, doing this is not really effective, especially for day 1, or maybe not even day 1 because day 1 was yesterday, but during the first week of the game, this is not going to be as efficient as you think it is because you're going to be left behind when it comes to your dailies and as well as the usage of your energy. And so what I recommend is that you go ahead and play the game just as you would normally without thinking about rerolling, and then just have fun playing the game that way. The game is honestly not that hard in my opinion, but I do get that some people are going to have more fun if they have the characters that they want. But the good thing is that you can actually select the characters that you want from the banner, and so eventually when you get enough pulls, then you're still going to end up having the character that you want. It might be a little bit later than you might prefer, but you're still getting the character, so it's all good. With that being said, that is pretty much everything I have with this video. I just wanted to make this quick video helping you guys with the storage issues about this game, and as well as giving you my thoughts about the rerolling in ZZZ. As always, if you found this video useful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.